Are you on a forklift?
Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a
Hey.
tutti.
Ciao Juventini, welcome back to the AJC. It is match day. We got Juventus and Bologna getting ready to get after it after a hectic week in terms of news and absolute chaos after a very abysmal performance against Inter in the second leg of the semifinal Coppa Italia. I've got Tal, our friend from head of Juventus Club Empire State, and Mr. Cappuccino joining him. They were both at what was seemed like a nice little event there with Maurizio from around Turin. Guys, anything to say about that event? It looked like a good time, good showing.
I mean, Mauricio's a beauty. I mean, he's one of the great, Juve guys out there in the world, and a good friend of mine for a number of years now. So it's always good to see him.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Great stuff. It looked like good times. Joe's sharing some of the video and stuff in there. We'll put out there in a little bit. Everybody looked like a great time. Wish I could have been there. But yeah, Maurizio is an absolute beauty. For anybody who somehow, some way may have missed around Turin and what this guy does, check it out if you're ever thinking about going out there to the stadium, taking in a game and whatnot. I recommend his services, and I've actually turned quite a few people onto him this season, and they've all responded with great feedback and messages, mostly through Instagram. So there are still a few out there that don't know about Maurizio, but it's great stuff what he does. So I'm glad you guys got to take in that event. Look like a beauty. Let's get to saying what's up to some in the live chat here. Anthony Trimboy saying, ciao, JC. Some tells me today's match will be a sleepwalk. I hope I'm wrong. Well, I could use a little bit of rest. It's been a little bit of little sick, fighting this cold. The girls have been sick, so, we'll see what it is. I just want the win. I just want the win. Please,
Give
God,
me the
give us
three
the win.
points.
Yes. Let's see. We
I don't
got
care if it's
Jeremiah
ugly.
coming in here. Max
I
has
don't care
made
if it's
losing
ugly.
a norm and an okay we lost, but it's acceptable. We keep working. Ooh, we're going to talk about his presser and obviously just everything in general with fans reaching a boiling point of some sort because now they want to push this social media Allegri outpost under all the official fan club posts. We'll get all our thoughts on that. And the last podcast had a little bit feeling that we were a little too harsh perhaps on Max Allegri. And I saw some maybe getting a little bit ambushed in comments to videos and whatnot. That's never our intention. We don't want to see anybody that's a part of the AJC army get ambushed for their particular opinion. So I have asked some through Twitter, through Instagram, through social media to give me their response and say, let me know why you feel comfortable moving forward with Max Allegri. So I will present that side of it today, and then we'll all just kind of go through our thoughts and feelings on it, right? So we'll see how things go today. But again, live chat, you guys are amazing. We're going to get into things, but we do have to kick off on that news. Max Allegri, yesterday finally saying it that, yeah, it was the wrong approach against Inter. That has been our approach, though, seemingly throughout Allegri 2.0.
Yeah. It's not been fun to watch.
Yeah, so in a
That's putting
sense,
it
has he
lightly.
kind of,
I'm trying to be nice here.
has he kind of, in a sense, admitted that maybe it's been the wrong approach throughout? Because if you could say it's been that wrong approach for that game, why does it not stand towards the others? Because seemingly we've always had that approach with this team. Now, the other side of it, like I said, we're going to present also the other side is he protects his players through from the media and everything. And he can't flat out say, look, this is all these guys are capable of. And I'm doing the best I can with what I have. That's one of the arguments towards it. How do you guys feel about that when he brings up wrong approach, but fans that are still on Max's side say that it's all he can do, and he's never going to come out and say that about his players in the media, which I believe is true. He does protect his guys in media. I've never seen him really go at anybody. You guys think that's more the case?
I don't think that these players are capable of, like, I don't think they're playing to their max capability. I think that we're not getting the best out of these players. I think that that's Max's fault. I think Max Allegri has always been able to get mediocre players to play well, but at the same time fails to have his good players firing on all cylinders. I think that's a problem. I think, yeah, it's great to protect these guys and not throw them under the bus in front of the media, but I mean, come on, you can't have a guy that scored 20 plus goals in the season for Fiorentina now not doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's obvious. I mean, the talent. I mean, we're talking about Angel Di Maria. We're one of the players to play the game, and this guy is like flopping for us in the last 5-6 games. How is Max failing to put these pieces together? And I get that he's definitely helping our defense. The back three is allowing a lot of those guys to cover for each other. It's allowing Danilo and Alexandro to kind of play above their pay grade. And definitely, as a result, they both earned their renewals. But I want Vlahovic to be. I want us to be like, let's give him $20 million a season. Let's give him anything we need to give him to stay. Talking about if we let him go in the summer, it's a good move already.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's just not where we need to be, in my opinion.
Yeah. Same kind of echo here with Tal. It's like if the players were performing, he wouldn't need to defend them in press conferences. So I feel like there's that aspect. I definitely see that he does protect his players. It is a very noble thing, and it's something that a coach should do. But that still needs to be said, that if the performances were good and translated on the field, we might not even be talking about this right now. So
I feel
there's that.
like when I hear that these capable, like these players, that's all they're kind of capable of, and he protects his players and whatnot, I immediately think like I would expect us to struggle based on our roster on the defensive side. And I would think that's where you would have to say, okay, he's doing the best with what he has. But offensively, I think like that's just piss poor with who we have. And that's like just the part that drives me nuts, is that we can't say that when we're talking about a team that's got a terrible record when conceding, and guys that have just not looked like themselves whatsoever. With Chiesa, it dates before the injury. Vlahovic can't even get shots, let alone goals like he was with Fiorentina. And Di Maria has never been this drop into the midfield creator and whatnot. In some games it works and you can get away with it and whatnot, but I feel like there's just way too much overthinking sometimes on that. But for the guys that he has at his disposal and whatnot, I think offensively there's no way we should be this bad. And when he says the approach is wrong against Inter, when I look at the record in goals, in games we've conceded goals, you've got 4 wins, 7 draws, 14 losses in games we've conceded. And the fact that we haven't conceded, and defensively our team is good on record for goals conceded, that tells you that we're still allowing a low amount of goals. That's simply not good enough. So one way or another, you have a guy that's ultimately, because it comes with the territory, that's going to take the heat for a team that isn't scoring enough goals and their record is where it stands. It's always going to come back to him. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm going to share some of these comments when I was asking people what makes you so comfortable sticking it out with Max, because on the last show I've been vocal about, I don't want to see a situation where right now, like we've been seeing this past week, the social media, everything official has Allegri out. The black box, red text, Allegri out under all their posts, 900 times, 1,000 times, whatever. Now's not the time. And that's the thing. Is you've got 7 league games left. You've got your semifinal against Europa, and it's just now is not the time. There are those that counter me and say, why wait? What's the point of waiting? Someone could come in here and do better. Someone can also come in and do worse. Okay? Someone could come in here and do worse. That's a reality. The other thing is, too, you have no sporting director or management team. So why bring in another coach now if you're going to then hire a sporting director and a management team and maybe they don't want that guy? So what are we going to do? Commit to somebody else again? Like we've kind of committed to Max when we shouldn't have arguably done so for 4 years' time? It doesn't make sense. Not now. Finish the season out. Do we agree on that, fellas?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
100%. 100%. I also think that the move is not get a new coach, it's get a sporting director and let that guy pick the coach. Why do we keep talking about Allegri out? We need to be talking somebody in.
Yeah.
We need a sporting director. And the issue that we have now was caused by our last sporting director. People keep blaming coaches for all of this nonsense. But this is the position we're in my opinion, is all Paratici's fault. This guy built no squad. He got players that he could get that would be flashy names that he thought would sell jerseys.
Yeah.
And now we're in a position where we have no squad cohesion. We have no players that can play together, that complement each other. It's a haphazard squad that was built for 4 different managers over the course of 5 seasons by a guy who's largely incompetent. I mean, look at Spurs. Yeah, Spurs are Spurs, and they're garbage, and their history is garbage, and that's the kind of club they are. But look how fast that squad collapsed under Paratici.
Yeah.
Look how quickly it took him a season to ruin that team. A team that was arguably, a couple pieces shy of competing for the Prem title.
Yeah.
And all he had to do was bring in fullbacks and maybe a solid defender that wasn't a Juve reject. And you got a tight squad.
Now, at this time, would you guys rather we don't get any silverware and not go to Europe for Champions League so Allegri can leave? I will never root against my team getting results for that to me. And I've seen this. I've seen this from we've all seen a couple content creators out there that are actually openly actively celebrating other teams' goals in games against us. That to me just blows me away. No matter what I believe is the right move moving forward, I will never ever choose negative results for Juve in order to get anybody fired or gone or whatever. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Joe and I
We
were
were
talking
talking
about this yesterday on the way to the Around Turin meetup, and it's some content creators and some Juventini, even not related to those content creators, it's almost like they like being right more than they like Juve winning.
Yes.
And so they'd rather be right. That's but at the same time, that's like being on a plane and being like, we have a really bad pilot. And then being excited when the plane crashes.
Yeah.
It's true though.
what are we doing here? Like, we're Juventini guys. Like, we want to win everything. I want to win everything. I don't care if we have Bozo the Clown as our coach. Let's win everything. Every year, people are like, what do you expect for this season? I'm like, I want to treble. Every year, I want to treble. I don't care. I don't care if our squad isn't playing well, if we don't have the pieces, if we don't have the manager. Treble every year.
Yeah.
What are we even talking about here? You want us to lose? Go be an Inter fan then. Okay, go be a Napoli fan. They're really good at losing. They've done it for 30 years.
Yeah. I agree
3
with you guys.
Scudetti in my lifetime.
Yeah, I agree with you guys
what
completely.
Are we talking about here?
It's just something that I'll never ever understand. And like I said, even when I get a little heated on players at times, definitely Max and whatnot, I always say, I hope that they prove me wrong, because ultimately that's all that matters to me. I've always said, I don't care about the name so much. It's just about the club and them succeeding. So when I come on down harsh on certain players, whatever, it's always with the intent that I hope they prove me wrong. And Max actually, to some degree, has proved me wrong big time this year, because I said earlier in the season, I said, I don't see any way he turns this thing around. This was way back when, at the beginning, when we were dropping to the likes of Monza and whatnot. And I said, I see no way he can pick this team up, regroup, and get us where we need to be. Now, he did get us somewhat respectable levels in terms of, okay, we're in semis of Europa League. Golpe's semifinal went terribly wrong in the second leg, and we are looking good for a top 4 finish and whatnot. But ultimately, what it comes down for me, and this is what I brought up on Lost Pod and everything, has this team progressed? Has this team improved from one season to the next? And for me, that is the biggest question why, in my mind, I think a change might be what we need to do, because ultimately, I don't see us making that much amount of progress. And I don't think the payback's there for Juventus in terms of having that high-priced manager. Now, the counter to that is, of course, he probably was the exact guy we needed for the penalties that were faced and getting us through that and everything. He probably was the exact guy for that. But for me moving forward, I don't see enough improvement in this team. And if you're not improving, it's kind of tough to stick with it. I wanted to bring up these comments when I asked, what makes you so confident in moving on with Allegri? He is the only coach that can bring Juve DNA back. That's the first point. Do we agree with it?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
He's not the only coach that can do it. There's a number of other coaches that can do it. I mean, I keep talking. Give me Tudor. Give me Tudor. Give me Igor Tudor. Give me Igor Tudor for like 4 or 5 seasons, and then bring Zidane in after Tudor fixes the squad.
I'm going to go a step further and say that the DNA, or what we want to cling to, is more brought on from those above and then bleeds down. So you need your manager to essentially push your values, your beliefs, and what you want your identity to be. So I actually think it starts above. It's going to start with your management team, and not the board that everybody seems to be confused right now, that's saying we only have lawyers and accountants. That's our board. They don't matter on the pitch. This next management team that's going to be named with a sporting director, that's where it needs to start and then bleed down. So I don't necessarily agree with that point. He had a successful experience with us, so he knows what needs to be done. We just need more time, and I think he deserves that chance. I'm not saying he hasn't fucked up, He has at times, but it's not worth the sacking. So, he's had successful experience with us.
We
Knows what
we
needs to be
sacked him
done in
for
order to
being more
get there and
successful
needs
than
more
this season.
time. So,
Yeah, I mean, you can't justify keeping him even just strictly on this season.
yeah.
You know, you can't. There's just no way. The performances have not been up to snuff, and that's just the bottom line. What's he going to do to change the team around by giving him more time? I just don't see it. He's
Yeah.
had 2 seasons. That's way more than enough, and we've seen little to no improvement.
2 seasons, and by Allegri's own standards, when he was a pundit going on the news talking shit about Pirlo on a regular basis, he said that a coach should only need 6 months to implement his ideas. So by Max's own standard, he's had 4 times that amount to get this to work. I think he's by his own, if we're going just based on Max in a microcosm, he's not living up to his own standard. He's not able to do what he says coaches should be able to do based on the amount of time that he's had this squad. And if that's him saying, oh, these players aren't good enough without saying it, I disagree. I think these players are good enough. I would say that we have in the top 2 squads in the league.
The point
On
penalty.
paper, for sure.
On paper, for sure.
The point penalty is an interesting little wild card here because I've seen fans approach it in 2 different manners. So in this respect, where they're trying to use it as a hardship that Max has had to overcome, which would be for any coach. This is not a normal season by any means. Does that play a big part in saying he needs more time to get this team where it needs to be? Because some argue the opposite, and some say that the point penalty is what actually helped unite the team and pick up that fight to arguably get us into the positions we're in now, which is somewhat respectable, but nowhere near the standards we set for the club, right? So where are you guys on that point penalty? Does it give him the right for more time or not?
Well, like a stay of execution we're talking here. I mean, granted, I understand the idea that it kind of stunted Max a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you still give him more time.
Yeah.
For real. It's just too obvious to me that this team is going nowhere. And like Tal said earlier, your top players that should be performing are not. And that is a big, big problem. And it's not going to get better.
It's one thing to get the best out of your worst guys. It's another thing when you're also not getting the best out of your best guys at the same time. And that's I think been my issue with Max since he came back, is that, we're used to him taking players like Mandzukic and saying, yeah, you're capable of playing on the wing and you're going to do it. And Mandzukic being one of our, one of our best under him. And now it's like he only cares that Sandro is playing above his pay grade. And it's like we're trying to get Alex. Like, I'd rather have a hole at left back and have our strikers firing on all cylinders than Alexandro being protected because he's more capable in a back 3.
Yeah. So I want to bring up the last set. We're going to get into the last set on what was brought up for maybe moving forward with Max. He can work under pressure. This has been the case with a big club like Juve all the time. I believe there's a lot of coaches out there that can work under pressure. I don't think this is a Max exclusive. And I don't think that's a Max exclusive. He can control the players and the locker room and protects his players from the media. Now, we
That's
talked
his
about
job.
this. Yeah. And I'm going to talk about this because in terms of controlling the players in the locker room, this is one of the exact reasons I've kind of felt more like a change is necessary moving forward, is because of the fact that right now, with what I'm looking at this team, they don't need a man manager. They need a coach. There's a big
100%.
difference between the two when you have someone that is a coach and someone that is a man manager. And this plays right into the final note there on why is give him a full squadra, suitable, stable environment, then yes, we can judge fairly. But he has had a stable environment leading up until this point penalty. There was calls for his head before the penalty came in. Like,
There were calls
people
for
were
his head
shouting
last
for it.
season.
So it's not something that's come up due to the environment. So while I have a big appreciation for what he's been able to do since all that's come in, ultimately to move forward with him, I'm not quite there. And the give him a full squadra is a big, big point here, everybody. Okay? This is massive. And the reason is because this is another reason why I strongly lean towards maybe looking elsewhere next season, is because Romeo Agresti comes on here. I talk to Mirko all the time and whatnot. The expectations, you guys have heard it on live shows with these guys in here. The expectations for this Mercado are extremely light. You are not going to get a massive turnover on this roster. So if we're waiting for that as well, and this is what we're going to see with the guys we have, something's got to give. Something's got to give, because this squadra isn't going to be turned around like that. And ultimately, the squadra we have now should be capable of more. When you're talking about your key guys all underachieving, that's a problem. That's a big problem, no matter who the name of the coach is. But offensively, and you look at our record, and while this is another reason why I can't get behind the whole big picture of him saying, well, you know, we lost 2 finals last season. This season, we got the wrong approach against Inter in the second leg. We're in the semifinals of Europa. We're in top 4 right now, whatnot. Here's the problem, is that the difference in these results, games that you've lost in conceding goals, 4 wins only, 14 losses in there, and your key guys, Vlahovic, Di Maria, Chiesa, are anything but your key guys. You've dropped 2 games to Monza this season. You like the results, where you could be with those points. That's the difference. That's what we're talking about. And from last season to this season, there's not much there. There's not much there.
Little to no improvement.
Even if we're, you know, these are the same things we were complaining about at the end of his tenure the first time.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what we were like. I'm getting flashbacks to us saying the same things, and it's, you know, I understand why we brought him back. And I'm grateful for all of the positives from this season in terms of man management, but it's time to go. I also think that we need to accept the fact that he's likely not going to go. Like, I feel like there's a much higher percent chance that he's going to stay with us next season. He's going to see out the rest of his contract, and we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable with Max. Yeah. We're just going to have to get used to it, because I see another season of this before we're out of it.
Yeah,
I see us doing this for another season. Think about it this way, right? You're the newly formed Juventus board, okay? You now have to bring in a sporting director who then has to bring in a coach, okay? In how much time before the season ends, before the Mercato starts? Like, we need to be realistic about how much time is left And then you're going to say, we're going to bring in a new coach, but they're not going to get a full preseason and they're not getting any players. Or if they do, they get one guy. Your budget is $60 million. You get one guy. If that guy doesn't pan out, everyone's going to crucify you.
Now,
let's just let Max deal with the brunt of the bullshit that's going to be this Mercato, and start now looking for a sporting director for 24-25.
yeah.
Let's hope that we qualify for Champions League and they knock us out of Champions League for next season with all of the shit they want to do to us, because it's going to happen. I've given up all faith that there's justice coming for us, and that the Italian justice system and the governing bodies in Europe are going to not try to make an example of us.
Yeah.
And just be realistic about this situation. It's grim. It's not fun. And we're going to have to sack up and give our balls a tug for next season, because it's going to be rough. Yeah. It's going to be another season of this. It's really going to be another season of this.
I want to paint this scenario, and I've been painting this scenario for a lot of Juventini lately this past week with this Allegri out thing. And I said, let's take a look at one of the names. Let's just take a look at one of the names that was thrown out by a lot of Juventini. I remember saying no, and my friend Reno from Vancouver all the time brought up Thomas Tuchel. I want to paint this scenario. Because this is why...
He's doing amazing at Bayern right now.
Well, that's just it. Look at what's happening with Bayern, with a roster far better than Juve. So this is why Juve is in such a delicate situation right now. Because let's say Juve did what many wanted, okay? Okay, we're getting crushed. We're bouncing Champions League so quick. Get rid of this guy. Okay, cool. So we pay the $50 million roughly, and everybody keeps saying it's only going to cost 20. It's not going to just cost 20 to get rid of Max. That is, you're looking at his pay that's not gross, okay? So literally, like, there's gross and then there's bonuses on top of it and everything. It works out to somewhere around 50 to 60. It's in that range, okay? So let's say they did that. Now, your next window, which is already going to be light, hugely affected, okay? Don't expect anything. We just suffered tremendously there. And you want them to bring in a high-priced coach, whatever. Okay, so they bring in Tuchel. This is what he's doing with Bayern, with a squad far superior to ours on paper, okay? Nobody can deny that Bayern squad is not levels above us, okay?
Just in terms of fitness.
If Juve would have done that, and that would have been the results that we got, we would have been in far worse circumstances, okay? If that would have happened. And Tuchel's just the one I'm using the example, because anybody that you want to put in there, the potential for it to get worse is definitely there. They have to be so exact that what Tal was kind of leaning towards, and the realistic fact that we might be facing, is that maybe, just maybe, you get through this shitstorm with him before you put all your pieces in place. And I know that it sucks to think about that when you're not happy overall with what you're seeing and you believe it could be better and all this, but ultimately, there's a big picture here, and the finances are a big part of it, and I would like to see a change next season, but there's a lot of things that have to work out, and if they get it wrong, oh man. This is why I don't expect
so bad.
when guys throw Zidane out there and all this, I don't see it happening. I see the next manager being an inexpensive coach coming in here, but somebody that's got, an approach that, and this is it. How can you name that guy right now when Max is literally the head of everything right now, because there is no management team? So how can you name the right coach for a management team that doesn't exist, a sporting director that doesn't exist? We don't know what do they want to go with a modern approach? Do they like a pragmatic approach? Do they want to change that in any direction? You don't know because there's no team there. It's just Max. So that is in turn one of the problems. That's why I say to everybody, let's get those pieces in place first. And it just doesn't make sense to commit to somebody and then name a team, a management team around him. Like, I don't want to pick any coach for that matter. And even the rumors suggesting that Max likes a certain sporting director. And I'm like, why on earth would you pick a sporting director based on who the coach wants? What are we doing
That's
here?
letting
No.
the cart pick the horse.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, what are
Like,
we doing here? So
we got into this problem by doing things backwards. We're not going to get out of it by doing things backwards. All right? And like I said before, I personally, I think that with all of the off the field issues that we're experiencing, we're only about 47% of the way through it. Okay? We're not even halfway. We're approaching the middle of the woods now. Okay?
yeah.
It's still a lot more to come. I think, I've just thrown all logic and reason out the window when it comes to the court proceedings that are ahead of us. If you look at this settlement that they want us to agree to, this plea deal, like they essentially want us to take a plea deal so we accept that we're guilty. We're admitting guilt by accepting a plea deal. But the thing is, the FIGC needs us to accept that plea more than we need it, because they need us to accept that plea so that they don't have to go out and prosecute everyone else that's guilty of worse. Okay? We're talking about a Napoli team that violated so much with that payment deal. We're talking about insider trading, essentially, with Elliott Holding owning both Lille and Milan and trading Leao to themselves. Like,
Yeah.
and we're getting investigated for 6% of our revenue. Like, needed to cheat to get 6% of our revenue of billions of dollars. That's fucking pocket change to us.
Yeah.
Okay? And now we need to accept a plea deal in order to save the league. They're dragging us through the mud. They would be happy if every Juventino gave up the stripes and said, we're done. We can't do this anymore. We can't take it. And the thing is, we were talking yesterday with Maurizio, and Maurizio goes, what's your favorite ever Scudetto win? And I said, my favorite Scudetto win hasn't happened yet. My favorite Scudetto is going to be the one that we win after all of this. Because guess what? I'm not going to be nice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be nice anymore. Villain era Juve has started. This is our villain origin story now. Yeah. You wanted a Juve villain, you're going to get the Juve villain now. Okay? All of the shit that all of these Napoli fans have been talking all season long. We were nice for 10 years when every team in Serie A was banter. When nobody was qualifying for Champions League but us, when people were getting obliterated by garbage squads that barely qualified. We lost to Maccabi Haifa. Maccabi Haifa is maybe arguably the best ever Israeli team ever. Okay? Inter lost to Hapoel Beersheva. Beersheva is in like a relegation battle now in Israel. What are we talking about here? Please, people have such a short memory when it comes to Juve victories. And I'm telling you, when we're back, I'm not going to be nice. There's no Lo Stilo Juve anymore. You're getting 0 quarter from me. You're getting 0 quarter the official fan club of Empire State. And every win, every ugly call, every dirty little thing that we used to be like, I'd rather not get that call. I'd rather this not be a penalty. No, that's done. That's done. Okay.
I love
You
it.
get mean Juve now. You get mean Tal. You get mean Empire State. I am so tired of this. I'm so tired of other teams. Like they're comparing. You can't win for 10 years, Napoli, and you don't reach Pro Vercelli. You don't reach. You're forced. What? How many? Genoa's at 5.
At 5.
If Inter wins for every Scudetto for a decade, they don't reach us. Okay? If Napoli wins every Scudetto for a decade, they don't reach Inter. Okay?
Yeah.
When we're back, it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. Because we were nice. We were humble winners. We were respectable, in my opinion. I was proud of us, the way we handled that 10 years.
Yeah,
exactly. Genoa 7, Bologna 9. Napoli needs to win 3 times the amount of Scudetti they have to match Bologna.
Beyond Napoli, I have never really and this year it's more evident than ever, and it's not even being hidden whatsoever. The hatred that exists for Juventus, it's not even they're not even hiding it, and all this, and I've been saying this for years. I started this podcast in 2018, okay?
I
and
apologize
I've been saying
for the
it since
noise
2018.
in the background. My pets are...
It's all good. In 2018, since 2018, I've been saying it. When everybody's like, how come you don't support the other teams in Champions League? And I said, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I go, I've been a Juve fan since the early 90s, and there's no chance I will support any other club in Champions League because I have seen it. I have heard it. I have felt it. There is no love whatsoever for Juve ever. And to the years that Tal is speaking of, a decade of dominance where we literally carried these guys and these bigger clubs that were going through banter eras and whatnot. And then the second, and again, one of the worst Juves in a long time, still in the top 4 of Serie A and making semifinals of Europa League. This is one of our worst times, okay? And this is what we're still going. Their worst times,
Serie A's we've had in years.
One of their
the
worst
league is garbage right now.
One of their worst Serie A's, they don't even get close to sniffing European play. What are we talking about? So they can't talk about us. They're not at our level. Period. And I'm with Tal 1,000% because the next one, it's coming, everybody, okay? I'm not going to tell you when. Nobody knows when, but what are we talking about here? Juve's going to take over Italy again. It is going to happen. And when it does, they're all getting the big day, all right? And it's going to be beautiful. Beautiful. Now, perfect time to fire things up, Tal, because now we're going to talk about Bologna today, okay? So there is a game going on, everybody, all right? So Bologna and Juventus today. Everybody in the live chat, by the way, take a second, like the video, okay? We got about 43 with us live right now. Take a second, like the video. And if you're looking to support the channel, thank you to everybody who already has. Obviously, we got the merch store opened up, tied in with YouTube there. There's super chat enabled. There is memberships now to AJC, 3 tiers with all different set of perks, okay? Check it all out. Thank you if you choose to support in that way. Another very simple way to share is simply share the content. That goes a long way too. Thank you to everybody who has done so. And guys that are taking clips of videos, posting them on social media, love it. Absolutely love all the support, everybody. Now, Bologna and Juve. A chance to turn things around, according to Max in his press conference. I hope so, Max. I really, really do, okay? Because we do need to turn things around. These last 5 matches, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Turn things around now. Bologna, 3.4 times your money pays you for a win. A draw, 3 times your money. Juve to win pays you just over 2 times your money, okay? Bologna, Mota is going to have a few injury problems to his team with Arnautovic out of the fixture, Sansoni and Soriano on the sidelines as well, out for a couple of weeks of action. For them, 4-2-3-1. No surprise other than the injuries they have to deal with. But for Juve, the only absentee remains Moise Kean. But Di Maria, all of a sudden, Di Maria comes up with an ankle injury yesterday, and we got to talk about Di Maria a bit here. His renewal's up. The latest rumors suggest that Juve has got that contract offer into him for the extension to 2024, and what he's waiting on is apparently European play or whatnot. I just want to quickly ask you guys, would you not renew Di Maria? Because it seems to be split amongst fans. So what do you guys think? Would you or would you not?
I would.
You would?
I would, simply because of how I'm anticipating this Mercato. I don't think there's a Mercato coming.
Yeah.
I think that this Mercato is going to consist of, like, Joe and I were on the train to the city to go see Mauricio yesterday, and I pulled up Transfermarkt and I opened free transfers, and that's who we're looking at.
Yeah.
There's going to be no, like, and the players that are on a free this summer, like, that we should be looking at, we're not linked with. Like, the player, in my opinion, number one player we should be looking at is Rafa Guerrero from Dortmund. He's a left back. He's on a free. Throw the book at him. Throw whatever you can at him. He's a solid player. He's like in his mid-20s. He's about to / coming into his prime. That's who we need to be going after, and we're not linked with him. And, I know I'm kind of taking the yes or no on Di Maria to a little bit of a stretched out thing, but I don't think you can look at it isolated because of the way this summer is probably going to go. Oh, I also just want to echo something in the chat here. When you guys sign up for the membership, you got to do it on a desktop or a laptop or something like that. It doesn't work with a mobile app.
Yes.
I'm a strong AJC Army a supporter here, so I want to make sure everybody gets the right thing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
But there's no Mercato coming. Like, we should expect that. Like, everyone's like, oh, we're gonna get a new coach, we're gonna get a new this. Like, no, we're not getting shit. We're not getting shit. Think about that. Accept that. And then when we get something, you're gonna be grateful.
Yeah, it's safe to not have a little less hope. It hurts less that way.
Joe, how do you feel about the Di Maria extension?
I think that he's warranted an extension. He's still a very serviceable player. We've seen the kind of magic that he can put on the field. And also, like Tal said, you can't look at this deal in a box. It's worth the little bit of investment for another year, I think. So
yeah, I'm kind of really pissed off about his performances as of late, but again, overall,
wage amortization, right?
Yeah, there'll be a growth decree in there that'll tie in as well.
So that just on the growth decree alone, we're essentially getting 2 seasons for the price of one based on the price of the season, because it's essentially we have to pay half of that with the growth amortization. So if he's willing to put pen to paper, put it in front of him.
Performance-wise, to me, like I said, the last 5 matches have been like that. I've seen him out. Anyways, I want a lot more. But then again, I could say that for everybody offensively. And
he's played well in the last 5 matches, genuinely.
He's what?
Who has played well in the last?
Well, this is what I'm trying to explain, is that, like, based on his performances, it's left a lot to be desired from an individual standpoint. I do separate sometimes individual performances from team performances. Yes, there's a lot lacking in team, but like even for him as an individual, there's a lot of it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad in terms of even just decisions and what he's trying to do. And it's like, I don't know, like just little things that I'm looking at. Like, your team has been suffocated, essentially, and we finally get possession back. They find the ball to Di Maria up on the flank on the right side, just inside the opponent's half. And he decides, this is when I'm going to try and chip this keeper from just inside half, and bombs it out there. And we get no relief. No relief, no sustained possession, just a chance to just breathe. Eat it, take a foul or whatever. That's just one of many of those type of scenarios I've seen over the past multiple games. Not involving chip shots from long range or whatever, but just not reading what the team needs in that exact moment and just kind of being completely out of sync with what we need. Di Maria is literally, his nickname is the Noodle, okay? El Fideo, like the Noodle. So I don't expect him to go in on a lot of 50-50s or whatnot, but I do expect a little more fight here and there. It's very, very soft. But overall, I agree with you in terms of we're going to be looking at ushering in young guys heavily.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have some veteran presence around. And him already having been around a year, been around this scenario, the situations here, I would be fine for just one more year to keep him around, if anything, but even just to help Sule and whatnot and continue that. But there's a lot of question marks. Sule apparently is up for loan next season, so then it starts to not make a whole lot of sense. But if we're going to be, I think next Mercado is more ushering in young guys. So regardless of my frustrations as of late with Di Maria, because I think for the most part, there was a stretch there. He was fantastic for us, but it's kind of faded. Everybody can feel their own way, whether it's more team-oriented that he's starting to struggle or himself. I'm seeing both, but I'm seeing both from all our guys. Chiesa doesn't look himself. Vlahovic is nowhere near the player even the last half of last season when we got him in. He's nowhere near that. So
he's not
there's
even near where
bigger
he
problems.
was at the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it faded quickly. So there's some big time problems. Now, again, Keane remains the only one confirmed absentee. Di Maria got added to that list. There's going to be some alterations in the side midweek. Obviously, Szczesny's going to be in there. No Pedin. Pedin made some big saves too. That could have been bad there in the semifinal there. Tech, Danilo, Bremer, Sandro.
That could have been a 10-0 loss against a better team. If we're not talking about one of the worst intercepts.
It was a very, very bad showing. Now, Danilo, Bremer, Sandro expected. No problems there. Quadrado, Fagioli making his return to the starting 11. I think it's about time. Time. Get him back in there. Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic, and, well, it was set to be Di Maria and Milik, but you'll probably get Chiesa in there. We need a good, strong showing today. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, they have to get the job done. The last time these two teams met, it was a 3-0 victory for Juventus. We need to get the job done today. Now, I do want to just bring this up. And Match saying, what about the reports about Di Maria fake? I don't believe that one for 1 second.
Don't read the pink paper. It's used as toilet paper and nothing else.
We like to put it all out there, lay it out for all of you to play it out, but you guys are sharp and you know what's up.
They only make it to help house train puppies at this point.
Yes.
That's why they keep printing that paper.
Key stats going into this one. Juve have won 13 of their last 14 against Bologna in all comps. Juve have kept a clean sheet in 5 of their last 6 away matches against Bologna in all comps. Juventus have won 7 and lost 5 of their last 12 Serie A games. Bologna have now lost 5 of their last 6 games. Not lost 5 of their last 6 games. Bologna is in decent form coming into this one. Motta's doing a good job there. Orsolini, another transfer we're getting looked at for. Hilarious. Bologna have lost their last 6 home games against Juventus. take all that for whatever the hell you want, but it's prediction challenge time. You guys know the drill. Final score and 2 tiebreakers. Everybody in the live chat, get him in here. Let's go. And which one of you two fine gentlemen want to kick us off on the prediction challenge?
Joe, I've started a lot of these things. Why don't you kick
All
us
right.
off?
I'm going to go final score will be a Cortomuso classic 1-0 to Juve.
Okay. You have your choice of any
Um,
2 tiebreakers.
Tiebreakers. Let's go with I'll go with goal scorer. I think Milik will probably bag one today. And we'll go I always like to pick the first card. I think that we'll go with Juve, and I think Rabiot will get the first card in the 30th minute.
All right. Tal, you're up, man.
I'm going to say 2-1 Juve. I think this Bologna side has been firing on all cylinders. Thiago Motta has these guys playing out of their mind. They're on a bit of a heater right now. So I think if we win, it's going to be we're not going to go down at a point. That's my one tiebreaker is that it's going to be we're going to score, they're going to equalize, we're going to score.
Okay.
That's my first tiebreaker. And then my second tiebreaker is one of our coaching staff says something offensive to one of the Columbus coaching staff. So that either Landucci saying that he's going to eat Thiago Motta's heart. That's on the cards for that. Or Max telling them that they are, relegation fodder and they're lucky that they are in a mid-table spot right now or something like that.
Yeah, we got some predictions coming in here. We got 2-1 loss from Antonio. We got 3-1 win. Skanga going with the Cortomuso 1-0. A Rabiot banger. And Animesh saying, expecting a reaction from the team. 2-0 win. Okay. What do I think? What do I think's going to go down? Mark coming in here with a 2-2 draw. Bologna's definitely playing some good ball there. Motta's got him doing some good things. Juve, on the other hand, leaving a lot to be desired, and that's putting it quite nicely, I think, from what we've seen. But I'm going to say Juve gets the job done. I do not expect a clean sheet today. So I do think Bologna gets on the board.
My prediction. Don't worry, I'm not going to be offended.
Yeah. I'm liking the 2-1 scoreline. So I'm going to roll with that. I'm going to roll with that on 2-1. I'm going to say that we get one of our goals will be off a set piece because that is what we're going to need because we're having a tough time getting them elsewhere. So I'm going to say set piece goal for sure coming in this one from Juve. And I will say that Fagioli finds a goal after all this mess and what's going on and whatnot.
That would be.
I'm gonna say that
he needs
Fagioli
that
finds some type of contribution. I won't even say goal. I'm just gonna say he gets a contribution in this game. So look for that, and I think that'll be big for him. I've been pretty vocal about what I saw as a sign from the emotional breakdown and everything. It's just I think he's putting a lot on himself, and I can agree with a bit of a break. Was that break a bit too long? Yeah, I think so. I think that was a lot longer than those anticipated with Fagioli there. But definitely no long-term concerns there. And I hope Fagioli makes my prediction right. And he has a strong showing for himself and gets himself into this one. So let's go. Oh, Ant's going to put me to the sword here saying a contribution. Thanks. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. A goal. Fagioli's going to score a goal in this one, okay? There you go. Fagioli gets a goal.
Yeah.
God damn it, Anthony. Always busting balls out here, okay? At least 30 minutes from Pogba today. I don't know if he's going to be in the 30-minute mark. But, man, he definitely needs some longer stints. Coming in at, like, where these games stand for 10 minutes, it's like I don't really expect much from anyone under those circumstances, to be honest. You guys?
I mean, I see why he's doing what he's doing with Pogba. I also, to kind of touch on Fajoli getting, benched for a couple of games. I'm not in support of that. I'm a firm believer of get right back on the horse. I think like, oh, you messed up against Sassuolo, you're going in next week and you're going to fix your mistake. And to everyone, that was upset with him crying on the bench versus Sassuolo, I understand that sentiment, and I also understand that, maybe just get mad, just kick something,
Yeah.
break the Sassuolo dugout. You know what I mean? Because I'll be psyched. You get a yellow card for breaking something, like I'm for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would be the worst player.
That was my thing. That was my thing with Fajoli. It's not the mistake. It's not the mistake with the goal or anything. But when you break down emotionally like that, for me, I took it as a sign he's got way too much on his shoulders. And no player, regardless of Fajoli, like no player should be playing with that much weight on themselves. And whether how much of it comes from the team, the coach, whatever, or himself, regardless, a guy, I don't care who you are, vet, young guy, whatever, nobody should break down to that level over a mistake like that. And I get it that he cares and everything like that, but it also says like, man, it's a game and like mistakes happen and whatever, like relax. So take a breather, regroup, and then get back in there. But I was okay with taking a game away from him because I also enjoy what Miretti's been able to do and bring. So I have no problems in that. And I think it's a good situation for Juventus to be able to have a guy like Miretti. I think we are barely scratching the surface with Miretti. And I think he's one of those guys that you can contribute to the offense in general. Guys we have not scratched the surface with. When you're talking about Miretti, Vlahovic, Chiesa, Di Maria, like Miretti does so many things so well that a lot of guys on this team don't do when it comes to finding spaces, making runs, penetrating runs, and attacking space and even help creating it. But we just don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? This team in general, Max Allegri 2.0, I can honestly say my feeling is that we've only been doing half of the job. So space will be created, space will be presented. We just don't do anything with it. And it's got to be a hell of a lot better. But Fajoli, hopefully he gets the job done. What about Sule? Well, if he gets in there, it's all good. I like Sule a lot. Romeo Agresti, we know what Romeo thinks about Sule.
Good game for him to start.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Agreed.
I also the absence of Moise Kean in a game, like he loves getting these garbage goals against teams like this. Moise. I'm a huge Moise Kean fan. I've been following that kid's career since he was like 15 on the Primavera, and him succeeding always makes me happy, and him playing well always makes me happy. He's like one of those kids that I just wish would bang.
Yeah.
Really.
I see some of these predictions. Are we insane? What makes fans think we're going to score multiple goals and win? Well, hey, we got to turn it around sometime. We can't lose.
Mark,
here
I
on out.
never predict the loss. I never predict the loss. Even if I think we're going to lose, I'm never going to predict the loss, and I'm never going to say we're going to lose. You're talking to the guy that says we're winning a treble every season. Like,
yeah.
I'm never going to say we're going to lose. I say we're going to win every game. I think that we're better than every team out there. I don't care.
I always go in optimistic. Always go in optimistic. And hey, it's got to end sometime. I mean, it's been 10 games with no multiple goals.
It could be today. It
could be today. Let's go. And hopefully a striker bags one and we can add to that tally. Antonio coming in here. Everybody, we have a few minutes for Storm the Barn questions. So if any of you want to get your questions in, fire away and let's tackle them. This is one. Do you think Allegri will stay? I actually am leaning towards the fact that I think he will stay. Now, for anybody that wants to get frustrated, pissed off, or anything about it, there is one positive through the AJC at least, and that is that I felt so strongly he was not going to be the coach next season that I put a wager of 10 Juve kits as giveaways. Okay, so if he remains,
Sign me up.
next year, at least there is that prospect for all of our followers, subscribers, and supporters that you will have an opportunity, as there will be 10 kits given away. I've felt so strongly about that. Now I'm thinking that I'm going to be giving away some kits. What do you think chances of Zidane or Tudor, Conte, or even Italiano or De Zerbi? Okay, well, if we're talking about chances of coaches, I would start to lean towards Tudor being top out of all those for a number of reasons. I don't think you're going to get Zidane or even a Conte when it comes to financial packages that they're going to want. I strongly believe that there's no way. Something has to give, everybody. We can't spend the money to get away from Max and then go again into a high profile manager. Like, I don't see it. So I would expect one out of like a Tudor. Italiano, I don't think is the time. To be honest, that's just me. De Zerbi,
He needs a little more time in the cooker, Italiano. And can I just say one thing about De Zerbi before you finish? I'm so tired of hearing De Zerbi. I don't rate him as a manager. I really don't. I think that he relies too much on what I call trick plays, because he kind of it's almost like an American football coach. Like, we're going to run this play, and then we're going to run this play, and then we're going to run this play, and then we're going to run this play. And if you break him down, he's done. He's got no response. And to me, I just, like, you only hear about him when he's doing well. If Brighton loses, you don't hear shit. When Sassuolo lost, you didn't hear shit. You only heard about, oh, Derby's good because, his Sassuolo side beat Inter or something like that. Like, he's not it. He's not it.
That, and I don't think that he's going to want to give up Premier League caliber money to come.
He was like the first one to come out and say, oh, start talking shit about the Super League. Like, there's no way that guy is going to then look like a dumbass by going back on what he said and joining the Super League club. Like, it just, like, everybody who's on the De Zerbi train, like, you just want something different, and I get that you want something different. I want something different too, but different doesn't always necessarily mean better. He needs very specific players for his systems to work, and we don't have those players, and we're not going to get him those players. So if you find a sporting director that says, yeah, I want a De Zerbi kind of guy, then maybe, if the sporting director is going to back him up and get him those kind of players. But can we just please let this De Zerbi thing go? I'm so tired. Every day I hear De Zerbi, and it's just tiring. I would actually, if we're talking about coaches that have been at Sassuolo, I'd prefer Dionisi to De Zerbi. I think Dionisi is a lot more of a Juve style coach, and he's got the little bit of a combo between man manager and tactics. Let him cook a little bit more at some smaller clubs, and I would prefer him much more to De Zerbi. I'm just so tired of hearing De Zerbi every 5 minutes. It's just, like, infuriating.
I don't mind De Zerbi. I'm intrigued by De Zerbi, to be honest, but I don't necessarily disagree with your points that he needs certain types of players. Out of those names that are mentioned there, I believe Tudor is. I believe Tudor should be that guy, and I mean, you're talking about connections. You're talking about connections to Juve. Ties there. You guys want to talk about somebody that is very familiar with that old school DNA that we want to go back to, that we want integrated and whatnot. This guy fits the bill for a number of reasons. When you want to talk about roster and maybe being able to do something and approach something differently with the guys he has, what he's doing is very, very good, and a strong showcasing for himself. So I think Tudor is a very, very good look there. Thiago Motta, Palladino even being in contacts and whatnot. But for me, I don't know. I think Tudor is kind of the top there for me right now in terms of fitting the bill everywhere. Financial requirements, ties to the club, understanding what his time was like, and being able to like have that associated with something new, and roster what he can do with what he's given essentially. So I kind of, and how he just approaches the game, how he approaches the game from an aspect of what he's doing based on who he's facing, based on his opponents. That's what I like about Tudor, is that it's not necessarily this is what we do, that's it, and that's it. No, it's very much like he can adapt, he can change things up, but it's very, very forward style football. Not by any means. It's clamped down when it has to be, but it's a very, very positive approach with a little bit, just a little bit hint of lockdown when you need it. Like that team can go through the gears. And that's what I've been saying has been lacking from Juve for quite some time, is that we don't have gears. Like, it is this, and it has been this for far too long. You have to balance it all. And while Max, people want to talk about him shoring up the defense and whatnot, Pirlo finished his season, while we all agreed that there was defensive problems, he finished his season with like the second best defense in terms of goals allowed. But that doesn't always tell the story. So even for Max to say goals conceded, whatever, or at this number, it doesn't tell the story, because at the end of the day, even if you're looking at goals, Anthony brought up this stat the other day saying, well, we're in this mix of teams with goals, only 2 or 3 higher than us, whatever. It doesn't matter when your record after you conceded and many games only 1 goal or 2 goals is 14 losses and 7 draws with only 4 wins. Still telling you, you ain't scoring nearly enough. And even if you're going to look at your goals conceded as being low, well, it's a big problem. So for me, it's the balance. And I've been saying this whole time with Max, for me, if you can't get your key guys being your key guys and your offense firing, that's the last piece of the puzzle for you. But if you can't do it, something's got to give, because a team's got to be able to go through all the gears. Otherwise, you do get what we've been getting, which is a lot of dropped points and matches. That really shouldn't be. And if you go through this season and you look at these results, especially at the start, there is so much that we left on the table. And when your coach finally admits, late April, that was the wrong approach against Inter, to me, you've kind of said it all for a large part of the season, because that was the approach we took into a lot of games against very, very much inferior squads. That's a problem.
So that's one. I want to kind of echo a few things about Tudor and why I personally think that Tudor is the right coach for this moment. Even if we don't get him next season, if we get him for the 24-25 season, let's just say he's coming in for the 24-25 season. Look at the Tudor squads that he's had. Tudor plays a back three. We currently have the personnel for the back three. Okay. He is very pragmatic while still having that forward-thinking modern coach capability. So if there's a team, for instance, like a Max Allegri team that breaks down, if they're confronted with a high press, he's going to say, all right, we're going to high press this team. He, like you said, his approach game to game is very good. He's able to get the most out of mediocre players. And I personally think our decline towards the end of the season under Pirlo was a direct result of Pirlo and Tudor having a falling out towards the end of that season. And if you look at it and we're honest with each other, it shouldn't have been Pirlo as a head coach and Tudor as his assistant. It should have been Tudor
The other way.
as the head coach and Pirlo as his assistant, because Tudor was already a coach. And Tudor was doing amazing things with that Verona side. I mean, he was having them play out of their minds.
Yeah. A very weak roster too, I gotta say. Like, outside of two players, a very, very soft roster.
I mean, if we look at the groundwork that Tudor laid in that Verona side, you can argue that if it wasn't for Tudor, we're not finishing in fourth. We're finishing in fifth, because it's Tudor's, remnants and the leftover juice that he left at Verona. They got Faraoni to score that goal, man. Like,
yeah. But yeah, Tudor seems to be I like the shout personally when we were talking about others, so we'll break the tradition of Italian coach. Well, before Trapattoni, there was non-Italian coach. We had obviously Deschamps, of course, ties to Juve and whatnot. Him, and I feel like he left some unfinished business there as well. Deschamps did a great job under those circumstances, bringing us back and whatnot. But since then, essentially, and I don't think too much into this and, this Italian coach thing or whatnot, but Tudor, for me, seems to make the most sense. And again, you see Klopp's name in the live chat stuff. Guys, no high money coach. I don't see it happening, not for a bit. I would be very, very surprised.
Man. He checks all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
He checks all the boxes.
Very, very surprised. But we got a game today. Bologna, we got the predictions in. We see how all you feel. Hey, it's got to break sometime, everybody, okay? So, you guys, I understand being frustrated and whatnot, thinking that, hey, are they going to be able to score multiple goals, or are they going to be able to get the job done? We'll find out what happens in a few hours, all right? I was set to do the watch-along. However, something has changed. I have some family commitments that I have to deal with, so I unfortunately will not be able to bring a watch along. But tomorrow, you guys know the drill, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, live for the post-match podcast. Hopefully, it is another victory Monday for us. I want to say a big thank you to Joe Cappuccino and, of course, Tal, president of Juventus Club Empire State. If you're in that neck of the woods, don't even think twice. Join up and join the great crew they have there. And for all of you, if you want to find out where these fan clubs are at, you can do so through the official Juve site. You go under the fan clubs tab, put in your zip code. You will find one near you. All right. We are working on setting something up through Linktree with all the fan clubs, and I will start having them posted in our descriptions on videos so you can find all of them much easier. All right. Tal, anything you want to sign off with? Your rant today, by the way, was fantastic. We loved it. All of our spirit.
Feel free to clip that, everyone. I'm totally getting called out by the chat, and I will. I was messed up the timeline on where Tudor was. He totally went to Verona after he left us. That's I'll be the first wrong, and I don't mind being proven wrong. Find us on our socials. It's usually a Juventus Club Empire State on most things. Come watch a game with us. If you're far away, you could come crash on my couch, and I'll take it as like Joe is. Like I'm the first guy to say like, oh, you can't make it. Yeah, I'll make it so easy for you to make it to watch a game with us.
You can't say no.
Yeah, you can't say no.
There you go.
There's no reason, especially in these times, to watch games by yourself. It's just it's sad.
There you go. Share the passion, share the love.
So
they're a great crew.
To start this club and to keep it alive. It's not just me. Marcella, Sabrina, JP are integral in the success of Juventus Club Empire State and our continued growth. And I have to say, anywhere you are, join an official fan club. It's the way.
It's made the difference for me. I can tell you that much.
And not just from like a going to matches and getting the access to tickets, but I've met some of the like two of my groomsmen at my wedding I met because of this club. Okay, like this goes beyond people that you just meet and hang out and watch games with, and you realize that there's that you know every Juventino and Juventina are your siblings, and we're all a big family, and there's no reason for any of us to watch a game by ourselves at any point. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of how I see it. I mean, we've all been there freaking a pet out or a loved one celebrating and running around and having the cops called on you by your neighbors because they think someone's getting murdered.
Might as well do it with your friends.
Yeah, might as well do it with your friends.
There you go.
You know,
Beautiful
and
stuff.
At least at Legends, nobody yells at us.
Yeah, there you go. Beautiful stuff. Great stuff. Great group. Again, join up with the fan clubs. Find one near you. It's great stuff. Happy to have you guys on here today. Let's hope the team gets the job done. And like I said, as always, no matter what, let's just see what they're going to do today. Hopefully they get the job done. We need this one, okay? Absolutely need this one. Bologna coming in good shape too, so it'll be an interesting one. Enjoy the match, everybody. We will reconvene tomorrow morning. As always, no matter what, fino alla fine, forza Juve, ciao tutti.